Tie against Hearts. St Mirren have never won this competition. It's 27 years since the Edinburgh club held the trophy aloft. So, good evening from all of us here, and it is a good evening, which is amazing to anybody living in the Glasgow area, because first thing this morning, the streets were cascading with rainwater, and yet tonight, a clear, still evening. Perfect, in fact, for playing football, as it was last week when the Sports Channel began our coverage of a new season of Scottish football. We were at Celtic Park for the second round tie between Celtic and First Division Ayr.
There's Elliott's header! Paul Elliott's first competitive goal for Celtic. Back at it goes to Jankowski. 2-0 to Celtic. It's a disaster for young David Purdy. Jankowski. Oh, good play. There's Martin Hayes. Elliott's good again. 3-0 to Celtic. It's Paul Elliott who's celebrating. There's Jankowski. Taking a shooting chance on the run. But they don't come any better than that.
And so to last Saturday, the opening day of a new league season, 12,000 at Tynecastle to see Hearts and St Mirren, most watching Derek Ferguson, £750,000 worth of ex-Ranger. But it was St Mirren who took the lead. The Hearts defence apparently still on summer holiday. Paul Kinnaird decided he'd do his job properly. And it could have been 2-0 shortly afterwards. Mark McWalter was the man who was scampering through the defence, only to be thwarted by the post. The second half belonged to Hearts, the ball over the line, or was it? And perhaps justice was done when John Robertson's shot smacked against the bar. Now, who actually scored Hearts' equaliser is open to some doubt. Cahoon definitely supplied the cross, but who put it in? Tom Black of St Mirren must be only too glad that Robertson claimed it was him, but then, as a striker, he would do, wouldn't he? So there we are, the scene at Love Street this evening, just about 5 minutes or so before kick-off. And I'm delighted to say we have a totally impartial guest with us this evening, and that's the St Mirren coach, Gordon McQueen. Good evening, Gordon.
Good evening.
Now, this match, a repeat of what happened last Saturday. So having played the same side in such a short while ago, are there benefits to be gained from that on either side, or negatives on either side? How do the two
No, I don't
square
think so.
up?
I don't think players or fans like playing one another so close. I mean, you play them often enough in a season, you play them 4 times, and you are familiar with the players, and to get drawn against them in the cup, as often happens in cup competitions, you play somebody in the league on the Saturday, you draw with them in the midweek, and players don't like it, but once that whistle blows tonight, they'll forget all about Saturday.
Actually, I noticed that your manager, Tony Fitzpatrick, said he thought that was one of the weaknesses of the Scottish game at the moment. You actually can end up playing the same people, perhaps sometimes 3 times in a month.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the way the Premier League set up just now. The Premier League's very successful. Obviously, healthy crowds up here just now, and business is good in Scotland.
Indeed, well, the fans coming in behind us, as we can see at the moment. Derek Ferguson, we saw him briefly in the highlights of that match on Saturday. £750,000, the richest signing ever made by Hearts. How do you assess him? Is that money well spent?
Well, yes, I mean, it's a lot of money that for Hearts to pay. It's broke their transfer record by a long shot. But I think, if anything, Hearts needed a midfield player like that, because I think they're just maybe missing a little bit of flair and imagination in the middle of the park, and he should supply that. And he lost his way a little bit at Rangers, and hopefully now he's getting regular first-team football at Hearts. His potential is fantastic, and I hope he releases that here with Hearts.
We saw him taking the field there with Hearts. Can I talk about the big money signing that that you've made, rather, Thomas Stickrock, £400,000. George Michael, I gather they call him, because of a similarity to the former Wansing. I mean, £400,000 is a lot of money for a club the size of St Mirren, isn't it?
Yeah, Tony Fitzpatrick done exceptionally well to get Thomas here at Love Street, and it is undoubtedly been beneficial to the players at Love Street, because he's got magnificent technique, he's got great pace, as you'll see tonight, and players here are learning from him. I think Scottish football in general has been lucky with the foreign players that they've brought into the game. I mean, I know people like Andy Roxburgh say that it's not beneficial because you're losing out under 21 players, etc. Thomas Stickrock's well worth watching.
OK, we'll see him and Derek Ferguson after this short break.
Alcohol, 100% tannins.
Plaque is the main cause of tooth decay and gum disease. It can be thought of as an ever-advancing army of bacteria. To combat this attack, Maclean's contains fluoride and an antibacterial agent. Regular brushing with Maclean's helps protect teeth and gums by fighting the advance of plaque. Maclean's. All toothpastes are not the same.
So, all set to go here at Love Street. Gordon McQueen impartial, but hoping and sure for a St Mirren win. And our commentators tonight, as ever, Andy Gray, Jock Brown.
Thank you, John. Yes, a warm welcome to Love Street. There's the setting, and Andy Gray with me, enjoying the occasion to the full.
Yes, there's always something special about cup tie football, Jock. Whether it's at the FA Trophy, whether it's a Junior Cup final, there is something special, and there's no exception tonight.
So the team's all set to start. There's Thomas Stickrot, the midfield player from Bayer Uerdingen, the Bundesliga, a very good player for St Mirren, and very highly rated indeed. The creative work for Hearts, depending on this man, Derek Ferguson. So Hearts will start the match. The teams have only one or two changes, the Hearts team that is, one or two changes from Saturday's team, but St Mirren starting with exactly the same lineup for the team which played at Tynecastle. And there'll be a lot of interest centred on the tactical formations, because one change made by Hearts for the match this evening is they've left out Scott Crabb, one of their exciting young strikers, and they've introduced Neil Berry into the middle of the field.
And looking at the formation very early, Jock, Neil Berry is immediately dropped into a marking area. And Dave McPherson and Craig Levine will share the other marker's job in the sweeper between them. At the moment it's David McPherson, so Hearts have definitely plumped to play a sweeper.
So a mark of respect there from Alec MacDonald, the Hearts manager. There's Kinnaird for St Mirren. It's back with Tom Black. Henry Smith's clearance, Fraser Wishart, controlling it well for Stickrot. Screening the ball from Tosh McKinlay, showing too much of the ball to the fullback though. There's Lambert, a young man with a very big future in prospect. He's interesting, lots of big clubs all over the country, and exchanging words there with Dave McCready. Now Lambert, just 21 years old, beginning his career, clashing there with Dave McCready, the Northern Ireland international. So no respecter of persons, Lambert, as Wishart takes the free kick. Challenged there by Berry. A hefty tackle by Gary Mackay, and Paul Lambert felt the full brunt of that. Well, Lambert involved straight away for St Mirren. Gary Mackay imposing himself physically in the middle of the field. Better known for his creative ability, Mackay, but he certainly didn't mess about with that tackle on Paul Lambert. The free kick taken by Stickrot. Henry Smith is committed. A foul committed by the St Mirren captain Roddy Manley, who had come up to join the attack. And a quick check worthwhile on the St Mirren side. So there's the St Mirren lineup tonight, exactly the same as the one which drew with Hearts at Tynecastle. Paul Lambert at number 4 in midfield, Stickrot wide on the right wearing number 9, with Shaw and McWalter through the middle. So St Mirren have a free kick deep inside their own half. And Hearts making just a couple of changes. There's Alan McLaren, number 2, replacing George Wright. Neil Berry replaces Scott Crabb. Played forward by McLaren. There's Cahoon trying to link up with John Robertson. George Shaw with a layoff. There's Lambert again. Wishart breaks on the right. Loves to come forward. There's Dick Rott. Going inside McKinley. Looking for support inside. Well, no real threat there to Henry Smith, but Dick Rott showing his confidence in possession.
And a fine start to the game. It really has started at a cup-tie pace. It's interesting that Hearts have shown St Mirren the respect by adopting a sweeper. I thought Alec MacDonald maybe a pup for the same team, but he also doesn't feel that confident at Love Street. One or two players that we've mentioned, Thomas Stickroth and Derek Ferguson, but there's one or two that maybe viewers south of the border won't be too familiar with. One particular, Paul Lambert, who's attracted an awful lot of attention as a tremendous player. And of course John Robertson, who was the Scottish League's top goal scorer last year. Two players just for people to look out for.
And there's Gary Mackay, halted illegally by Brian Martin in the eyes of the referee. The referee tonight is Mr. Donald McVicker from Carluke in Lanarkshire. There he is. His 8th season as a Grade 1 official. There's Cahoon. Interception by Manley. And Kinnaird wins the throw. Paul Kinnaird started his career with Norwich City. Came back to Dundee United and Motherwell before becoming a £90,000 purchase by Tony Fitzpatrick, the St Mirren manager. There's McWalter. Now Lambert. Applause greeting every touch from Lambert. Here's Wishart. Now Shaw. Wishart breaking on his outside. Berry gets to the pitch of that. Kinley's header. So you hear a faint rumble in the background. That's one of the aeroplanes arriving at Glasgow Airport, which is just a couple of miles up the road. Berry again getting the ball very swiftly. So the throw will be taken by Fraser Wishart. Shaw was being pushed by Levine. Hearts with 2 Scotland World Cup central defenders in this side, Craig Levine and Dave McPherson. It was Levine who conceded that free kick. Manley's free kick. There's Brian Martin. Done back very crisply there by Alan McLaren, the youngest player in the field. He's just 19 years old. Godfrey's header. Hearts having the chance to come forward. And with no Scott Crabb in the side, John Cahoon has been given a roving commission through the middle. Here's Derek Ferguson. Levine plays it forward for Cahoon. This is Mackay and McCreary. McKinley's layoff releases Mackay. Now Tosh McKinley trying to get the cross in. Well, Wishart coming in high, but he was there to play the ball and he succeeded in doing that. Lofted in by Robertson. And Alan McLaren took a bad knock there, a clash with Tom Black. Both players are still on the ground as play continues now with George Shaw. There's Mackay. And both the injured players have been restored to full health. They're back on the field, and they're looking all right again. A little clash of heads. Here's Cahoon and McCreary. Levine. Well, Thomas Stickrot slashing at that. Here's Derek Ferguson. And now Mackay. Ferguson quickly met there by Martin in midfield. Here's Lambert. It breaks down in the middle of the field. Berry forced to thump the ball forward and out of play. It's a throw to St Mirren. And a very tough battle now, Andy, in midfield.
Yes, no real pattern yet, Jock. I mean, the game's a little bit harum-scarum, a little bit 100 mile an hour, but that's to be expected of a cup tie. Certainly on paper, Hearts would appear to be the stronger side, but these are two very evenly matched teams. I think already Hearts have a small problem I can see in that by playing the sweeper and having no real natural left-sided player, with Tosh McKinley marking Thomas Stickrod very, very closely, it will allow Fraser Wishart to get up and down the park at his leisure, which he has done 2 or 3 times already, and that might just cause Hearts a little bit of a problem. Here he is again in that position.
So Wishart to Stickrot, the two most expensive players in the St Mirren lineup. Stickrot costing £400,000, Fraser Wishart costing £285,000. That fee fixed by a tribunal from Motherwell. There's Stickrot. And McPherson coming in behind as Levine had attacked the ball initially. Fine understanding developing between Levine and McPherson in the heart of that Hearts defence. Mackay dropping deep. Query forced to use McPherson at the back again. The Hearts at this stage are using their wingers, or their fullbacks rather, as wingers. They've got Alan McLaren pushing well forward on the right, Tosh McKinley on the left whenever any Hearts player is in possession. And that's how they have decided to create width for their attacks. Peter Godfrey. The tackle was made by Levine. This is Ferguson. Cahoon breaks to the left, Robertson through the middle. That's for Cahoon, but he's caught offside. Disappointment there for John Cahoon. Versatile player up front. He can play on either flank or through the middle to telling effect.
Yeah, but he'll be disappointed there, Jock. And a striker's in a position like that when he can look across the whole length of the park and see all the defenders. There really is no excuse for him being offside.
Levine winning that. St Mirren fans thought there was a push on Shaw, but the referee couldn't have been better positioned right beside the two players. There's McPherson. Robertson to Ferguson. No way forward there. The St Mirren marking was very tight. Here's Mark McWalter. Kinley's given that straight to Wishart. Shaw calling for the ball through the inside left position. Well, a very poor quality of pass there from the St Mirren fullback, Fraser Wishart, trying to win possession back from McPherson. A tough exchange between Wishart and McKinley. We may see a few more of these tonight. This is Manley. So 3 central defenders for Hearts. There's a marvellous setting. Love Street has had a lot of money spent on it over the close season and showing the benefit. Magnificent playing surface. Mackay plays it wide. This is McKinley. John Robertson forward there, caught on his heels as that pass was released by McKinley. The ball had run for a goal kick. Well timed there by McKinley. Mackay trying to find Cahoon in the clear, but he was clearly offside that time. Campbell Money has taken a very quick free kick. Mike Walter putting McPherson under pressure. Well, McPherson was a doubt before the match tonight, following an injury sustained on Saturday, and that certainly didn't do him any good at all. Mark McWalter closing in on him very rapidly. Here's John Robertson. That's for Cahun, trying to get in behind Manley. And a superb piece of defending by the St Mirren skipper. Cahun, though, is causing problems. So the ball played into touch to allow treatment for Dave McPherson. So the Hearts physio Alan Ray is on.
Listen, this is one reason why I think he's adopted a sweeper tonight, Alec McDonald's. It's the pace of McWalter in short front. Dave McPherson, as you say, was just a doubt before the game. I certainly hope for his sake that's a knock, because it's one of them when you go down, we're in about the groin and the pelvic area, you can just pull it, but it looks like it's just jabbed it, maybe got a little knock, showing the referee it, as all players do. Look at that, ref. I think the big man's all right.
There's the man with all the pace up front for St Mirren, Mark McWalter. And John Robertson giving the ball back to St Mirren. It was a St Mirren player who had put the ball out of play to allow treatment for McPherson. So, well, any doubters about sportsmanship remaining in the game should take note of that. There's Peter Godfrey. Judging that well. Cahun screening the ball well from Black. Now Paul Kinnaird, Tom Black on the overlap. Shaw playing it back for Black. All a bit tight in the corner there for St Mirren, and they've been forced to concede a free kick. Cahun is certainly a major thorn in the flesh of this St Mirren defence at this stage. This is Gary Mackay. Ryan Martin getting back. Conceding a throw to Hearts. £80,000 signing from Hamilton Accies. Ryan Martin.
Right.
McKinley back to Mackay. Trying that disguised shot pass towards Robertson. And McLaren is penalised for holding his man off the ball. It was Kinnaird who made the challenge, and McLaren just turned his hip into him. So free kick. St Mirren, Alan McLaren showing a little bit of inexperience there. Free kick, well won by Levine. Going to Mackay. Levine made a good run in the left. Very accomplished coming forward to support his attack. He's not at all happy about that challenge, but the referee's done nothing wrong, and it's Dick Rott holding off Ferguson. Unusual, Andy, for Hearts to play with only two up, but it does allow Derek Ferguson to create from just behind them.
Yes, it does, and what it also has done is it's stopped Fraser Wisher getting forward. They've obviously seen the problem as well and said to Derek Ferguson, we only need two men in the middle of midfield. You push on, spread the three across the front. It makes you wonder why Scott Crabb wasn't included. Derek Ferguson really is playing practically as a front man at the moment.
So Hearts with a throw, which Tosh McKinley will take. Robertson's the target. Robertson again calling for the throw. Very sharp inside the box. McKinley's cross. Lanning getting up well, and it's turned behind by Ryan Martin for a Hearts corner kick. So Dave McPherson has gone forward, so too has Craig Levine. 6 is McPherson. Tom Black organising the defence there, the St Mirren left back. Goes Levine. Caught very closely indeed by Manley. Cahoon again. Trying to get past Martin, he got the cross in. Good play by McKinley, gets help now from Mackay. Tripped by Black. Tom Black having a word or two with the referee. He thinks there was an infringement on McWalter just a moment ago. So John Robertson lining up this free kick. Referee McVicker ensuring that the wall retreats the full 10 yards. I'm not sure he's quite managed that. Here's Robertson. That was charged down by George Shaw, who certainly felt the full brunt of that.
And he must also only have been about 2 yards from John Robertson when John Robertson struck the free kick.
Here's Alan McLaren. Kai flighting it in, there's Godfrey. Black doing well. Now McWalter. Stigrod breaking on the right. Look at his pace now as he uses that long stride coming forward. Matched though by another very quick player in Levine. Henry Smith was bumped in the air. No question about that. It was McWalter who made the challenge on the keeper, trying to clear the path for Brian Martin. Smith appears to be winded.
Yes, he looks quite winded there, Jock. No doubt about the free kick. But it is a kind of cross that Henry Smith will come out and gobble up. You can see no intent there in playing the ball, looking for Henry Smith. And I think as he comes down there, just a bit winded.
So a hectic start to the match for Alan Ray, the Hearts physio. 20 minutes gone. Still no scoring. And there's the Heart of Midlothian dugout. Alec MacDonald half obliterated there by Walter Borthwick, his assistant. The two substitutes on the right, Eamon Bannon, the balding figure on the right, with young Scott Crabb beside him. So a bit of anxiety here for the Hearts bench. A man they can ill afford to see inconvenienced this way. Trying to catch his breath. Well, Mark McWalter, who collided with the keeper, is a very powerful figure. But the game really is a bit bogged down, Andy, in the sense that both sides appear to be showing a great deal of respect for each other.
Yes, they are. I think they both realise how equally matched they are. And it's the type of game that will take one flash of brilliance maybe to win it. But I couldn't help thinking that just the last 5 minutes that Hearts were beginning to get a bit more confident. They were beginning to be in the ascendancy a little bit. I feel that St Mirren, if they're going to push Hearts back, then the gaps obviously lie both wide flanks. I think when you play a sweeper, you always feel that the holes that the team play into are down the sides. And I think when you have the pace of a George Shaw or Mark McWalter up front, then you have to play the balls into corners for them to use the pace. Because really, if you play the ball straight down the middle with the sweeper there, this Hearts defence will gobble them up. But Henry looks as if he's recovered and ready for some more action.
And the referee following the usual protocol of allowing additional time for the goalkeeper to recover. Certainly no complaint from any of the outfield players. In fact, the respite may well have been very well received. A very experienced, calm official, Donald McVicker. Martin's header. Martin again through the middle. George Shaw is the player on the ground, the St Mirren striker. And a good call there from Campbell Money appeared to be the reason why Manley ducked his head at the last moment. And I fancy Campbell Money tried to play that out. He got some help though from Mike Walter, and yet another stoppage for injury. Young George Shaw has gone down here and he's looking for some assistance. Another of the very promising St Mirren youngsters. He's just 21 years old. With the referee being quite indulgent, Andy, about allowing treatment for players, do you think that's reasonable a night like this?
Well, yes, I think especially in that occasion, when I think it was very obvious that it was a clash of heads, and I think in today's modern game, people are very conscious when people take a knock on the head, Jock. When I had many in my career, I never get this sort of treatment, and I think that's what's happened to me. And if I did a bit more respect, I probably would have been okay, but it's always nice when someone has a head knock to see the referee conscious of it and stopping the play pretty quickly.
So George Shaw has made an Andy Gray recovery, and dropped ball restarts the match. This time though it's a free kick to Hearts. Person playing that straight against Paul Kinnear. I think the referee had little sympathy with George Shaw, rather. He has no sympathy with the youngster who was preventing a quick free kick. Cahoon doing well to force the ball inside, and the tackle from Peter Godfrey on Robertson was a good one. Turned away by Black. It's well cut out by McCreary. The Hearts forwards had to race back there to remain onside. Here's Gary Mackay with the early cross. And Godfrey had to turn that behind for the corner kick. Robertson was applying the pressure in the middle, making that near post run.
Two of them are standing on you. Go quickly. Pick him up, Tam. Tam, have you got him? Tam, have you got him?
So lots of instructions among these Mirren defenders for Cahoon's corner kick. Headed by Mackay, beaten away by Money. Cahoon driving that against Martin. It's another corner kick to Hearts. Certainly growing signs that Hearts are on the ascendancy at this stage. McPherson's a major threat in the penalty area. Good challenge by Godfrey, and that header from McLaren takes the pressure off the St Mirren defence. Alan McLaren recovered from injury to take his place in the Hearts side. He's had a lot of experience in the Hearts first team in Europe and in the Premier Division, just 19 years old. Tom Black providing the ball back to Campbell Money. Godfrey looking for Stig Rott. Magnificent pass, releasing Kinnear on the far side. He's missed, as Henry Smith's missed it, and a push by Kinnear, picked up by the referee. Well, what a relief that was for Hearts. The pace of Paul Kinnear going after that Stig Rott pass caused the problems, and Henry Smith will be mightily relieved about that.
Well, I must admit, I cannot believe that the referee has given a free kick here. I've just leaned on it, nothing there, and what a miss this would have been, though. The whole goal's gaping, and I do feel the referee was rather kind to Hearts in that situation.
Well, Paul Kinnear shooting that into the side netting prevented any real anxiety among the players. But it was a superb pass from Stig Rott.
Yes, it was. Showed his class there, and that's what happens when you play with a sweeper, though, Jock, and he's 5 or 6 yards behind you. Your man-for-man markers. If one of your strikers does get away on the opposite side of the pitch, he really is in with a chance.
This is Godfrey. Stig Rott. A shot. Meg Walter. Stig Rott playing it in early again. Well, that's fine inventive play again from St Mirren. The inspiration coming from the West German. Henry Smith calming it down, but Thomas Stig Rott asserting himself all of a sudden, and St Mirren look menacing. Tom Black taking no chances, nodding that out. Both the St Mirren fullbacks acquired by means of tribunals fixing transfer fees. Tom Black from Airdrie for £70,000. That already looks a very fine piece of business by Tony Fitzpatrick. The whistle has gone for offside. All that activity to no avail. John Love, the linesman. quite what McKinley intended, but Berry was there for Hearts. Oh, fine play by Lambert. Lambert always willing to receive the ball in tight corners. Ferguson doing well with the tackle on Wishart. Space now for Mackay. Well, he released that just a shade too early, I reckon. Tosh McKinley certainly was making tracks up that left flank. There's Wishart again. That's Dick Rott. Making space for himself to come inside. Here's Martin. Good effort by Martin. Dick Rott had followed through looking for a return pass, but Ryan Martin had only one thought in mind. A high challenge there by Berry.
Once again, the man Stickroth behind it, and really, I think if Brian Martin had seen him there, Stickroth had made a great run to receive the 1-2 and was completely clear. But it is noticeable that when St Mirren do use this right-hand side with Thomas Stickroth, they are causing Hearts very much problems.
And there's going to be a booking for Tosh McKinley. In his anxiety to get the ball ahead of Stickroth, he was guilty there of handball. And the referee bringing out the yellow card. Tosh McKinley protesting vigorously that was accidental. The yellow card is shown to the Hearts defender, and St Mirren have the free kick. Tosh McKinley booked. So it's Dick Rott with Lambert. Looking for Tom Black to use his shooting power with his left foot. Hearts were alert to that. Here's Kinnear trying to take on Craig Levine. McPherson tidying up, always looking to play football from defence. There's Levine's long ball, returned by Godfrey. Half an hour gone in the first half, still no scoring in this Skol Cup tie, but remember, there will have to be a winner tonight. Extra time and penalty kicks if required. That's well taken by Money. Good running by John Cahoon. That was down to positioning by Campbell Money.
Yes, and this is what John Cahoon's very good at, getting the ball wide and cutting inside. And the game really is bubbling on the jock. If you get the impression if someone could just get on the score sheet, the game really would erupt. It's building up very, very nicely.
There's Mackay and Cahoon. Tackle there was made by Lambert. Wishart looking for Kinnear. They used to be teammates at Motherwell. Mackay back with Levine. Cahoon's in behind Black. So the corner kick it is. Good covering work done there by Fraser Wishart. Across on the right to help on the left side of the St Mirren defence. So Campbell Money instructing his defenders to mark up tightly. Well, McPherson believed he didn't get a touch. The referee thought otherwise. Levine and McPherson representing very high-class defenders. Berry's challenge, and they're ahead of Shaw. Berry again closing in on Shaw. Well, that's good play by McLaren, trying to find space to get away from Kinnear. Throw goes to Hearts.
Pick him up, Sam.
This is Robertson. Now Mackay striding through. Some very solid defending there by Manley. Hearts keeping the pressure on. Here's Roddy Manley trying to take the ball away from Robertson. Captain of the side, signed from Falkirk last season, £180,000. There's Black. Shaw. Well, he's been shadowed for much of the first half, George Shaw, by Neil Berry. Now the dubious pleasure of being followed by Levine. McPherson has to be quick. Quick in the turn for a big fellow. Godfrey's header. Big Walter going to touch it, a chance for Stigrot. He has Shaw waiting in the middle. Well, he tried to find him early, and Craig Levine did extremely well to intercept.
I also think Craig Levine will be very happy that Thomas Stickroth chose that path to go. It's an ideal situation for the German to go at Craig Levine in a one-on-one situation, and he chose to pass that. He'll be very disappointed.
The Hearts moving swiftly to the other end to win the corner kick.
Coming in, Mark, all the way there, Mark.
Cahoon again, taking all these corners. There's a variation. That's great play by Robertson, but the ball had gone over. Always looking to try something different, John Robertson. So sharp and alert. So if you've just tuned in, there are 10 minutes remaining in the first half of the Skoll Cup tie. There's still no scoring. Here's George Shaw, back with Black. Once again, Wishart has found space on the right. Mackay comes across to close him down. Here's Lambert. McWalter. It's a powerful runner for St Mirren. Pushed into the corner though by McKinley. Oh, that's fine play by McKinley. Getting help from Mackay. The Hearts have the throw. Gary Mackay anxious to re-establish his international prospects this season. Ball goes to St Mirren. Peter Godfrey got that right. There's Shaw trying to get the better of Neil Berry. Well, you have the impression that when George Shaw came out to play this evening, the sight of Neil Berry going into a marking role couldn't have been a very cheerful prospect. And Wishart sending that long ball way behind, a major disappointment. Well, darkness descending here in Paisley. The scoreline tells the story, but there's lots of action out there, and you have the distinct feeling that goals aren't far away.
Yes, you do, but what you're also seeing is what both teams' major strengths are and will be this season, and that is in not giving goals away. There may not be a lot of goal-mouth action to be seen, but the defending has really been tremendous, and it'll only take a goal to open the whole game up.
Here's Gary Mackay. The run made by Alan McLaren. And Paul Kinnear has done a very good job on the St Mirren left. They're marking these runs from McLaren. Now Manley. While St Mirren haven't enjoyed any success in this competition, they are recent winners of the Scottish Cup. They won in 1987. Paul Lambert was in that side as a 17-year-old. Carson tidying up. Firm tackle there by Mackay on Stickroth. There's McKinley. Manley getting up well above Robertson. This is Martin. Getting help from Kinnaird. Manley forcing it wide. Tom Black showing a very educated left foot. Former Airdrie fullback. Shaw is on his own for the moment. Catching the heels there of McPherson accidentally.
Well done, Fraser. Well done, John.
St Mirren now funneling back to the halfway line, allowing Levine to come forward. It's a good pass into space for Cahoon.
Hey, lad.
Well, he prevented the throw, but conceded the goal kick. So John Cahoon trying to develop an understanding with John Robertson up front, but it may be that Scott Crabb will be involved before the end.
Yes, it wouldn't be surprised me, although I do feel that Alec MacDonald will be very, very pleased the way his team have played and adjusted to his tactical changes from Saturday. They have stopped St Mirren's real pace up front at the moment, and they're now, as we thought, beginning to take over and push forward, and certainly look the more dangerous at the moment. But it certainly wouldn't surprise me at some time, if the scoreline stays the same, as Scott Crabb is not introduced.
So 5 minutes left in the first half. St Mirren with a free kick. Manley has gone forward. There's Tom Black. Manley's the target. Marked by McPherson. Lambert neatly to Stickrot. The early cross. Smith committed again. That's a good catch. He'll be very happy about that. The Hearts keeper. Remember, he was winded in the last attempt to cut it across like that. Ferguson through for Robertson, and excellent cover there from Fraser Wishart. Well, he's been given the task of pushing forward on the right flank, Wishart, but he was very quick indeed at covering his central defence there. Ferguson's pass, Martin stretching in, this is Cahoon, McKinley going through the middle. Robertson's also available, he's the target. And that was inches wide. John Robertson trying to steer that in against the balance of Campbell Money, and that undoubtedly was a life for St Mirren.
Well, John Robertson and John Cahoon really are a handful when they play all over the pitch. Cahoon gets in down the left, spots John Robertson, who'd pulled away, and does exactly the right thing, must go back across goal, and he's very, very unfortunate. But that was the way, that's the way through for Hearts. These two guys down the side, it's caused St Mirren all sorts of problems.
Mike Walter back with Stickrot. There's Lambert and Wishart. Shaw. Manley. St Mirren capable of very good possession football. They put passes together well, especially on this right side. Good running again by Martin. By a near post cross early. Back now was Stickrot. Holding off McKinley, and that's a clear free kick. Now remember, McKinley's already been booked. You'll have to be extremely careful, Tosh McKinley. A bit of frustration creeping in there as Stickrot was bobbing and weaving to try to get away from him.
Yes, he has got to be careful. When you're up against a player like Thomas Stickrot, who's confident on the ball, I mean, that to me is worse than his booking. It really is. And having already been booked, by all rights, Tosh McKinley should be heading off. I mean, that's the problem referees have when they book somebody for nothing.
Stickrot's free kick. Smith couldn't get to that. And struck beautifully there by Tom Black. He realised that the goal was empty. He tried to drill that into the corner.
Yes, this is another chance in it. It's caused Henry Smith problems, this has. It's a very poor punch out by Henry. I know he's challenged, but he's got to command that. And it's great awareness, but I wonder if he'd have just thought, shall I try chipping him? Look how far Henry Smith is out the goal. A little dink over everybody might have just seen that and would have been far more accurate. I just wonder if Tom Black's now thinking that.
So Hearts survive. A bit of fortune there. Manley. And Tom Black slicing that out for the throw on the far side. There's Cahun and McLaren. It's underway by Martin. Brian Martin does a very important job in the middle of the field for St Mirren. Extremely strong and mobile in that area. So the throw this time goes to St Mirren.
Yes, it shows you that Tony Fitzpatrick knows his stuff. When you have players like Stickroth, Kinnaird and Lambert in midfield who can all play, you really do need a bit of steel in there. Someone who's maybe not as fancy, but he defends well, he gets stuck in, and that's exactly what Brian Martin does. He does a fabulous job for them in there.
Well, it wasn't quite so creditable. That late tackle on Craig Levine by Martin. Levine, who's known all about serious injury in his short career.
Yes, and he won't release challenges like this after being out for quite some time. Very, very late, Brian Martin. And once again, you see a tackle like that, Jock, when the referee's booked Tosh McKinley for what looked to me like innocent handling, and he's let away two quite serious tackles in my view in the last couple of minutes.
So the final minute of very keenly fought first half with Hearts on the attack. McKinley being invited to leave this to John Cahun.
Send the whole back post, back the post, back post.
The voice you hear is that of Campbell Money, organising his defence. There's Cahun's corner, the near post area, looking for McPherson. A bit of pushing inside the 6-yard box, giving a free kick to St Mirren. Again, Money preferring the shot goal kick to allow him to play the ball from hand. So we're into time added on for injury stoppages. There have been a couple of these. Remember the long delay for Henry Smith. The whistle is gone. George Shaw looking very sharp going forward, and he is going to be in trouble for not responding to the whistle. The referee had blown for the free kick to Hearts, and George Shaw continued with that run forward, and the referee is going to administer his second booking of the night. The explanation delivered by Donald McVicker, and George Shaw goes into the referee's book.
I can't help thinking that referees give themselves some extra paperwork, Jock, really.
A very technical offence that by Shaw. McPherson's free kick. Black's under pressure instantly from Alan McLaren. So it looks as though the sides will go in at half-time all square, and that perhaps is about an accurate reflection of the first half, Andy.
Certainly all square, Jock, but what I'm surprised is there hasn't been any goals. The game's deserved goals. The players have performed tremendously well, worked very, very hard, and really they deserve goals. Very much a level game with both defences performing very well.
Robertson trying to get in behind Godfrey, who did well to stretch in for that header. Berry returns it quickly. There's Manley with the clearance. In goes Berry, there's no free kick. And Black, he uses his goalkeeper, Campbell Money. So we had a couple of minutes now of injury time at the end of the first half. Down goes Stickroth, and that was McKinley. And I feel like they play run with St Mirren in possession. This is Lambert. Cutting inside, using Wishart with a decoy. The tackling getting very tough indeed. Still St Mirren go forward. This is McWalter. Wishart with a cross. Turned away there by McLaren for the corner kick, if there's enough time for it. Some hectic action there, and Tosh McKinley again taking his life in his hands with that tackle. Down there on the halfway line. Kinnaird quickly with the corner, realising that time is fast running out. And Gary Mackay had to hurry with that clearance. Paul Lambert trying to go through the middle. The Hearts under siege in the closing seconds of the first half. Fine piece of play that by Lambert, trying to go through all by himself. Stickroth with the corner. Turn by Manley. Here's a chance to tidy it up. And it's Derek Ferguson taking his time. Wishart's header forward, and after 3 minutes of injury time, referee Donald McVicker brings a very competitive first half to an end. Applause for both sides as they depart. We've seen some hectic, all-out determined action. There's clearly lots more to come in the second half. The half-time score here at Love Street, St Mirren 0, Hearts 0. We'll be back right after this short break.
Welcome back. No goals in the first half. The thoughts of the St Mirren coach Gordon McQueen on St Mirren in just a few moments. But before that, there's plenty of other football being played around the country in England and Scotland tonight. And with news of those and the athletics, tennis and all the rest of the sports news, Jeff Stelling.
Thanks, John. Let's start with the other scores from Scotland in the Skol Cup third round. It's Aberdeen 4, Stranraer 0, very comfortable for the holders. 2 goals from Paul Mason in the first 17 minutes. Brian Irvine and Willem van der Ark have added other goals. It's Hamilton 0, Celtic 1. Hamilton offering brave resistance, but Celtic breaking it down in the 65th minute through Jackie Jakanowski. Something of a surprise on the cards here, though. First Division Wraith 1, Hibs 0. George McGeechee in the 24th minute, the scorer. In the Barclays League Division 1, it's Arsenal 1, Luton 1. Lars Elstrup, the Danish international, scoring for Luton in 12 minutes. Paul Merson has equalised after 37. Coventry 2, Everton 0, another bad day for Colin Harvey and Neville Southall. David Speedy and Kevin Gallagher have got the Coventry goals. Derby 0, Sheffield United 0. In fact, I can tell you that there's just been a goal in that game, Dean Saunders putting Derby ahead. And it's Queen's Park Rangers 0, Wimbledon 0. In Division 2, West Ham 1, Portsmouth 1. Guy Whittingham for Portsmouth. But the story of the night, a goal for Frank McAvenny in 23 minutes. That's his first goal for 3 years. The Rumbelows League Cup first round first leg. Bradford 2, Bury 0. Leonard and Abbott the scorers. Brighton 0, Northampton 1. Kevin Wilkin, Theo Foley's good start at Northampton going on. Bristol Rovers 0, Torquay 0. Exeter 1, Notts County 1. Kevin Bartlett for County, Richard Dryden for Exeter. Huddersfield 0, Bolton 2. Julian Darby getting both Bolton goals. Maidstone 0, Lake Norient 1. Greg Berry in 41 minutes. Stoke 0, Swansea 0. West Brom 1, Bristol City 2. Gary Bannister put West Brom ahead, but 2 goals for Nicky Morgan, who also scored on Saturday, have given City the lead. Just a reminder of the main news from the European Athletics Championships in Split. A great night for Britain. 3 gold medals. They've come from Yvonne Murray, Tom McKean and Chris Akabusi. Well done to all of them. Well, that's it from us. Now back to Love Street and John.
Gordon, I was expecting you to be leaping up and down and banging your fists in that first half, and you were very quiet and composed. What were your thoughts?
Well, I think, I mean, it wasn't a great first half. There was, each side had one half-decent chance, both defences on top. David McPherson strolling through the game and looking like an international class defender that he is. And St Mirren played it pretty tight at the back as well. I mean, Hearts aren't really getting particularly good service into Cahoon and Robertson because it can cause you problems, both those players. And by and large, it's defences on top. The point
Andy Gray made was that, in fact, it's around the flanks that you're looking at a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Hearts are playing 3 at the back. They're playing the sweeper system with Neil Berry at the back and trying to push the 2 full backs forward, trying to push Tosh McKinlay and McLaren. It's not really working in Tosh McKinlay's case because Thomas Stickroth's given him a bit of a sore time down the right-hand side. And if we're going to get Joe, I think St Mirren, they'll get it from him.
Well, briefly, we mentioned McKinlay and Stickroth, and McKinlay was booked for that deliberate handball. And I suppose he was a bit lucky to stay on the field with this challenge on your German player, which...
Yeah, well, he's been booked for something very, very innocuous there. I mean, he's took the legs from. I mean, that's a sending off. But he has made 1 or 2 strange decisions, the referee. I mean, the George Shaw booking just before half-time was rather weird. Yes,
it's very easy to criticise referees, of course, but they are in difficult situations. But they don't help themselves sometimes, do they?
Well, certainly not in this case today, particularly Stickroth and McKinlay win.
OK, Gordon, well, we can consider the second half with you in just a few moments, but time for another short break. Match, though, has to be decided tonight, so we could go to those dreaded penalties, Gordon. Wry grin there. But of course, the moment the game is over here, we will have action from the 3rd day of the US Open Tennis Championships at Flushing Meadow. Gordon, the players, just coming back on the field now. Behind us we can hear the derisive boos from the Hearts fans. But what would your tactics be in the second half?
I'm sure Tony will be thinking the same way. I mean, defensively, make sure Robertson and Cahoon aren't getting balls played into their feet, which we've done successfully in the first half. And Kinnaird, from an attacking point of view, Kinnaird and McLaren are cancelling one another out. Mark McWalter and George Shaw are having a rough time playing against the sweeper system, and two terrific defenders, and Levine and McPherson as well. I'd be looking for a little bit more coming down the right-hand side. Lambert and Stickroth are both very, very good players. And if you can get Fraser Wishart pushing up a bit and joining in, we might get a bit of joy down that right-hand side. But if we don't, we could be heading for extra time and penalties.
Well, let's hope for the sake of all of us that we're not in that situation. The second half about to start then. Back to Andy Gray and Jock Brown.
Thank you, John. Yes, the second half about to start, and no evidence of any changes made by either side. So the tactics may alter, but the personnel as yet hasn't. Of course, the prospect of an extra half hour will make the managers cautious about any such changes at this stage. So St Mirren had quite a good finish to the first half in an attacking sense, may have been encouraged by that. It's played forward by Lambert, and Berry with the pass back. So we're looking to see if there have been any significant changes made tactically. Andy, any evident to you?
None at all, Jock, and I think a manager in this situation is very reluctant to make a change in case it costs his side a goal. But I do feel there are goals in store tonight. It may take a piece of brilliance from Thomas Stickroth, from John Robertson, a piece of individual skill, but I certainly do feel that this hasn't got 0-0 written all over it.
And that free kick has been given against John Cahoon for leaning into Peter Godfrey on that run. Cahoon tries to explain himself to referee McVicker. So there's some statistics from the first half. Very interesting indeed to see Hearts having 6 corners to St Mirren's 2, and the free kick count indicating that Hearts have been getting into the tackle more frequently, and shots on target 2 apiece. But certainly the game could scarcely be more evenly poised at this stage. So with Aberdeen appearing to be coasting through in their match against Stranraer at Pittodrie, they will be the side to meet the winners of this particular clash. So a daunting prospect still for the winners, but they'll want to be involved all right, especially men like young Paul Lambert here. Cleared well by Levine. There's Tom Black. Picked up there by Mackay for Ferguson, who's had a quiet match so far. Derek Ferguson, the £750,000 signing from Rangers. Levine had to be careful there as Shaw closed in. We haven't really seen the kind of style which you know very well from your days playing alongside Derek Ferguson at Ibrox, Andy.
Yes, but I do feel it's because he is being asked to push right up front an awful lot of the time, Jock. And it really is not his position. He likes to play in there where he is at the moment, in the midfield area, prompting, making passes and sending other people, not being on the end of things. And that's why, if there is a change in Hearts' game, it may be that Scott Crabb comes on and blusters the front two, because really Derek looks a little bit out of sorts where he is.
Well, here he is in possession now, in a more familiar position in the middle of the field. So there's the attendance for tonight's match, and that really is something of a disappointment, and I think perhaps reflects the foul weather which affected both Paisley and Edinburgh in the earlier part of the day. So the ball runs again for a Hearts throw. Neil Berry will leave this. Tosh McKierney coming back, and I wonder if he had a few words in his ear from manager MacDonald at half-time to make sure he didn't do anything rash in the second half and leave Hearts reduced to 10 men. There's John Robertson. He's found the gap for Mackay, and a powerful challenge there. Stickroth was the player getting back for St Mirren. McLaren's pass back. McLaren again trying to get accustomed to his advanced role on the right side of midfield. touched on by Robertson, who was hanging there in the air just ahead of Peter Godfrey. Wishart's long ball goes through, but the defensive organisation of both sides still the dominant feature of the match.
And I think if a team's going to win that, then I really do think Gordon McQueen was quite right at half-time. The front men, especially of Hearts, need to get better service. They're not exactly big men up front, but they are up against 4 giants at the back there. So the service to the front men has got to be better. And it's been the one disappointing thing, if there has been anything this game has been disappointing, of tonight.
So Hearts showing some patience, stroking the ball around at the back. Giving George Shaw and Mark McWalter, the St Mirren strikers, a lot of work. There's Mackay and now Cahoon. McPherson springing forward from the back. Robertson showing himself up front. There's Derek Ferguson. On the far side is McKinley, a promising move this from Hearts. Headed away by Martin. Back now with McCreary. McLaren sprinting up on the outside, but Kinnear is very quick indeed, the St Mirren number 11. He made the challenge which gave Hearts the corner kick. McLaren did well there, forcing that corner and making a long run to support his midfield. So packed goalmouth for Cahoon's corner kick. Out by Manley. There's McCreary. Referee waving play on there as McKinley wins possession. Mackay back to McCreary. Here's McKinley again. Stigrot is the man making the challenge for St Mirren. McKinley wins the throw quite deliberately. Here's John Robertson. And this time the decision is a goal kick to St Mirren. Gary Mackay trying to force his way through a very narrow gap there. Remember his Scotland debut, Gary Mackay scored in Bulgaria for Scotland to win the European Championship match, but since then has been in international wilderness. Until he was called up for the league centenary match. There's Berry's header. Black looking for Kinnear. Playing that into space. And George Shaw getting there long after Craig Levine. Craig Levine in a marking role. One of the 3 central defenders trusted with that task, along with Neil Berry. McPherson, the spare man. Levine has often shown himself very accomplished as sweeper himself in the past. Here's Kinnear. Handed away there by McKinley. This is Mackay. Ferguson breaks on the left. Hearts getting men forward now. One of them is Mackay, riding that challenge. And running into Godfrey. Down goes George Shaw. The foul by David McCreary. The referee having a word now with McCreary. So still only 2 men booked for technical offences, 1 for handball and 1 for carrying on towards goal after the whistle had gone. And these were Tosh McKinley and George Shaw. Stigrot plays it back. This is Wishart. The back heeler was careless. Here's Derek Ferguson with Levine now making the extra man coming forward. That's for Cahoon. Campbell Money is well out of his area. There goes Cahoon, and in view of the new rules, Campbell Money couldn't even consider bringing down John Cahoon, or he would have been ordered off. But he certainly posed a problem for the Hearts striker, so that was good play by the keeper. Must have been sorely tempted, I'm sure, just to hold back Cahoon outside the area, but it would inevitably have resulted in a red card. Cahoon's cross. Here's Derek Ferguson on the turn. The acrobatic effort inside the penalty area from John Robertson. Will have to be a hold-up now for treatment to Peter Godfrey, who felt the full brunt of that effort from John Robertson. Great play it was too from Derek Ferguson, setting up the chance for Robertson.
Yes, that young boy, he really is a fair strike, and you really can't give him a sniff. Leisho is very aware. I mean, I think it's actually came off his hand there, and it just the follow-through's just caught him in the side of the head. But I'm sure that one was on target. He rarely misses the target, does young John Robertson, and really is pushing Andy Roxburgh, saying, listen, now that Mo Johnston has decided not to play for Scotland anymore, how about giving me a chance? And his goal tally last season, quite magnificent, top goal scorer in Scotland. He feels he deserves a chance. But just thinking back to Campbell Munira, Jock, I was watching his face very closely as he ran out to John Cahoon, and I'm sure the new rules flashed across his mind, because I'm sure he was going to bring him down, suddenly thought, oh yeah, I'm off if I do, and just pulled out of it.
And with Campbell Money hoping very much for a call-up to the Scotland squad for the match against Romania in 2 weeks' time, that's the last thing that he would need. Here's Kinnaird using Tom Black. Black has scored a number of spectacular goals in his career with his left foot, but not on that occasion. This is Derek Ferguson and McKinley. Off goes Robertson again through the middle. Good cover provided by Black for Manley. Well, that's been a feature of the match, all right. The cover provided in defence. Both sides looking extremely solid in that department. Levine's header. Here's Gary Mackay. Cahoon coming inside. A neat piece of play by Fraser Wishart. Black trying to get that beyond McLaren, but he couldn't make it. Berry to Ferguson. Well, a misunderstanding there. Ferguson was looking for a run through the inside right channel from John Robertson. Obviously a settling in period for a new player at a strange club, and that's what Derek Ferguson's going through. Here's Thomas Tickrott. He's been quiet in the second half. Well stopped that time by McKinley. Godfrey's in trouble. Here's John Robertson looking for support. A run is being made by McLaren, but it was matched all the way by Kinnaird. Now that was fine play by Paul Kinnaird. Spotted the danger early, matched the run from McLaren. Well, it's a new role for Paul Kinnaird, who started out as an orthodox centre forward. Right for the Scotland youth side there, and for Norwich City. Reserve a youth side in that position. Now playing well wide on the left. This Tickrott forced to play the long pass back to Money. He really has been well stifled now by Hearts.
Yes, I'm just thinking about Thomas Tickrott there and Paul Kinnaird. It really is invaluable to have players like that. Not only are they very good going forward, Jock, but what they give a team is they're quite prepared to defend as well. And that really is something that all teams need. Wide men sometimes get the reputation of being lazy and only want to go forward. You see two here tonight who perform their role very, very well. Not only going forward, but prepared to help the defence.
Well, the referee sorts out the position for the throw. Tickrott playing it inside. Mercury helps out Levine. Plenty of noise from the terraces. A big contingent of Hearts supporters in this crowd of just under 7,000. Down goes Cahoon. The tackle was by Martin. There's Brian Martin. The hairline belies his age, only 27. It's Cahoon taking some time to recover. So a free kick to Hearts, and news coming through about their neighbours in the capital city in Edinburgh is that Hibs are out of the Skol Cup. beaten 1-0 tonight by Raith Rovers at Kirkcaldy. So that means that Raith Rovers have a money-spinning quarter-final tie against Rangers at Ibrox next week. And a return visit for the former Celtic assistant manager Frank Connor, who manages Raith Rovers. Good play by McPherson, striding out of defence. He's very good at this. A collision off the ball there with Godfrey. And John Robertson showing his substantial frustration. Manley very angry indeed about Robertson's reaction to the Wishart tackle, and referee McVicker will require to take some action. It's going to be trouble for someone here, and in the first place it'll be Peter Godfrey. So Godfrey clearly is being booked for the challenge on John Robertson, which resulted in that very angry outburst.
I think actually, Jock, what he's in trouble about is the David McPherson tackle. When Dave McPherson played the 1-2, went to go again, and I think you'll find it was Peter Godfrey was the one who really stood firm, and big David McPherson ran into him, and of course that's what the referee's booking him for there.
Yes, indeed, it was Wishart who tackled Robertson, so that's the right interpretation, and a good piece of refereeing that allowed the play to continue with Hearts in possession. There's Derek Ferguson. Not having things all his own way tonight at all, Ferguson. Having a tough time settling in. So there's the aerial picture of Love Street, the scoreline, with half an hour of the 90 minutes remaining. Remember, extra time if required. And certainly this match is finally in the balance. Here's Godfrey. Godfrey escorts that away for the throw to St Mirren. Good challenge made by McCreary on Martin. McCreary took a face knock in the process. Foul given against John Robertson, but a bit of pushing while the ball was in the air. Dave McCreary still on the ground. So a free kick to St Mirren once the referee is satisfied that McCreary's head knock is sorted out. So the match at a very, very interesting phase, and I wonder how Gordon McQueen is viewing this from our presentation position.
Well, it's interesting at the moment. It's a matter of what team wants to win most. I mean, the Hearts want to win it. Do they want to forget their sweeper system and maybe put Scott Crabbe on up front? Or does Kinnaird and Stickroth, who are playing in the wide positions for St Mirren, want to get in behind the full-backs? They look as if they're more worried about the full-backs at this moment in time than getting forward themselves. And it's a matter of who wants to win it most, or else I'm afraid we're going to have a stalemate here with the looks of things.
So the view from Gordon McQueen as St Mirren try to settle again with Stickroth on the right. He really hasn't been allowed to be the creative influence in the second half, which he was in the first.
And I think that's the sweeper system. I think first half, Tosh McKinlay a little bit naive about it. What it does, it allows both fullbacks to get very tight, and now Tosh McKinlay's got it, and he's been tight with him this half.
There's Mike Walter. McLaren, no difficulty with that clearance. McKinlay playing it forward. Derek Ferguson chasing willingly, but they have no real prospect of reaching that. And that really is an unusual role for Ferguson indeed, as you say, Andy, chasing through there as an auxiliary striker. A tough battle again between McCreary and Martin in midfield. McKinlay taking the ball for a walk, and Henry Smith had to be quick. Well, that's down to the pace of these St Mirren front players. George Shaw was one of them. He was the man causing the problems for Smith on that occasion.
I do think, though, Jock, that if it wasn't the thought of extra time ahead, then I do think both managers would have seriously thought of making a change now. I do think that the thought of an extra 30 minutes is somehow they're just holding back a little bit. Not wanting to make a change in case it costs a goal rather than gets one, but Gordon McQueen's quite right. It's got to the stage now where somebody's got to say, one of the managers has got to say, I'm confident enough in my players to go and win this game. And at the moment, both managers are quite happy at 0-0. And really we need to see a little change in one of the team's attitudes.
Well, here's St Mirren trying to make headway through Paul Kinnear on the left. Levine and Berry exchange passes. Wishart wins that from Robertson. Still going through Fraser Wishart. Walter on the right, looking for someone on the left. He has Paul Kinnear. And a very swift tackle that from McLaren. Kinnear wants to take him on again. He has to settle for the corner kick. Well, there have been some fascinating individual tussles out there. One of them has been Kinnear against McLaren. That's straight back to McCreary. Stigrod has time on the far side. And a fine effort that from Stigrod, using his left foot. And Henry Smith had to watch that very carefully indeed. So a man of all the talents, Thomas Stigrod.
Yes, it's the first flash we've seen him of really in the second half, and he needs, St Mirren somehow have got to get that man in the game. I mean, that sale's over, but they really have got to get him. He does look the one man that if they have a key to unlock this Hearts defence, he may be the man that possesses it.
Back now with Wishart. Headed away by Berry. McCreary through the middle for Robertson. He's got the pace to go himself. Brought down just outside the penalty area, and Peter Godfrey is going to be ordered off. John Robertson's pace was carrying him clear through the middle. Peter Godfrey was chasing. He pulled down the Hearts striker, and that in itself may well be enough for an ordering off, but he's already been booked.
Yes, I think you're quite right here, Jock. You see him tugging back John Robertson there. I don't think there can be any question of that. He must be wondering though, I can't help thinking that Campbell Money could have helped his centre back there. If he's on the edge of his box, like I think most goalkeepers would be when you've got people of the pace of John Robertson. I think there's going to be more controversy though, Jock. I think they're going to give it outside the box, which again is quite right, but I think the Hearts lads are looking for a penalty kick. A couple of them are down by the linesman on this near side. But I think the referee again is going to be right, and he's going to give it just outside.
Well, the referee certainly couldn't be faulted for that. He ordered off Peter Godfrey quite correctly, and he's now going to give a free kick just outside the penalty area, and that certainly is borne out, I think, by our pictures. David McCreary appears to require some attention, but the Hearts players certainly believe that that should have been a penalty kick, but I reckon that we can show the referee, Donald McVicker, was perfectly correct. So let's take a look at that once again.
Yes, I think we're all agreed. There's the first challenge there, well outside the box. The second one comes in, again a yard outside the box. And although John Robertson falls inside the box, credit the officials, correct decision.
So St Mirren reduced in dramatic fashion to 10 men, and Hearts have a great opportunity from the edge of the box to cash in on this set piece. Tosh McKinley is there, John Robertson is there, Gary Mackay is there, so is Dave McPherson. Robertson I fancy for this. Well, that couldn't have missed by much. Relief on the face of Campbell Money, but this was hit with stunning power.
Yes, this is very, very close. There can only be inches in this. He strikes this magnificently well, and that's only gone about 6 inches wide of the post. And had it been on target, I don't think there would have been much Campbell Money could have done about that.
So Hearts no doubt feel that justice has not been seen to be done by that. The referee certainly administered the laws perfectly correctly, and St Mirren have had to reorganise. They've done so by bringing Brian Martin back to central defence alongside Roddy Manley. They've withdrawn George Shaw into the middle of the field, leaving Mark McWalter on his own up front. Here's Martin. He's got lots of experience playing in the back forward. It'll be no problem to him. So back it goes to Manley. So So Campbell Money, a relieved man. John Robertson will be feeling very upset indeed. He appeared to be cleared through on goal on that occasion. Top goal scorer with 22 strikes last season, and he's scored a goal a game so far this season. So looking to keep up that record tonight, and he may well have done so, but for that foul by Peter Godfrey. They're on by McWalter. There is header, there's Henry Smith. He's very quick indeed. And he had to be. Paul Kinnear was closing in.
I'll tell you what, Jock, let's not discount St Mirren because they've lost a man. We know only too well how teams can come back and how difficult it is at times to play against 10 men. I've suffered defeats from 10 men in my own career. So let's not discount St Mirren.
And of course they're fired up themselves, perhaps feeling a sense of injustice, which certainly I don't think would justify the Peter Godfrey's case. Here's McWalter, and it's well timed by McPherson. There's Tosh McKinley, headed away by Martin. And here's John Robertson, led away calmly there by Manley, who has to perform the skipper's role now to good effect. Here's Paul Kinnear. Oh, a neat sidestep there away from McCreary, and well tackled by Levine. Headed back by Shaw. Here's a chance now for St Mirren. Paul Lambert. A glimpse of talent which is flourishing here at Paisley. Paul Lambert almost putting his team ahead.
Yes, we've seen far too little of this tonight from Paul Lambert, but it just shows you what he's capable of. Had he gone down there, I wonder what the referee would have done with Craig Levine. It shows great composure. Very, very unlucky. That was a superb run for your youngster, and what St Mirren will want to see more of.
There's Manley turning it back. Well, the crowd really has come to life now. Remember, 10 men St Mirren have. And I wonder how Gordon McQueen views the position now with his team reduced to 10 men.
Well, as is often is the case, 10 men roll their sleeves up and get on with it sometime, and created a fantastic opening there, and I'm sure Paul Lambert will be a little bit disappointed that he never finished that off. But the chances have been few and far between for St Mirren in the second half, and I think it's going to be even tougher now with Mark McWalters playing a lone striker's role, with George Shaw dropping back into the middle of the park. But all's not lost yet, because this team, St Mirren team, have got a lot of spirit.
Well, there's never any question of either side being short of spirit. In this cup tie, here's Gary Mackay. Well, trying the long-range effort, but Campbell Money in this kind of form would be hard to beat from that range. So, changes about to be made. Off goes one experienced figure, David McCreary, and the replacement is yet another experienced player, another international. This time it's Eamon Bannon coming on for Hearts. So Bannon replacing McCreary, one international for another. Bit of climbing there on the shoulders of George Shaw by Neil Berry, and it's a free kick to St Mirren. Over the ball to the set piece once again is Tom Black. Manley has gone forward. Not allowed to make a run there by the very experienced figure of Eamon Bannon. Bannon now with some instructions for Gary Mackay, resolving some tactical debate in the middle of the field. Replacing Northern Ireland international David McCreary. Bannon looking for Robertson. And the referee waving play on, although Robertson may well have given Fraser Wishart a bit of a nudge there to try to get an advantage. But with St Mirren in possession, the referee sensibly allows the play to flow. Head flick on from McWalter again. McPherson can now or to stride forward more and more often. That might make a big difference. Bannon looking for McLaren, who was underneath that. I think he had one eye on Paul Kinnaird, who was coming back to mark him. So there's Tom Black taking the throw for St Mirren. Certainly, if this match does go into extra time, a very heavy onus on the depleted side.
I must admit, I'm a bit confused about the substitution, Jock. I did feel at a time when St Mirren have just been reduced to 10 men. If they were going to make a change, Alec MacDonald, it would have been the ideal time to have brought on Scott Crabb up front, maybe just to prise the St Mirren defence open. There may well been a problem with David McCreary. Unless there was, I feel, rather a strange substitution from Alec MacDonald.
No, I think in fairness, McCreary did signal to the bench that he was struggling a little bit from that face knock. Seemed to be an enforced change. Passed a little bit too tight with that pass. Lambert caught late there by Alan McLaren, and the referee will take action. There's the scoreline. So Alan McLaren going in late on Paul Lambert, and the result is another booking. And the referee perhaps also quite happy to take a bit of sting out of the proceedings by stopping play for a moment.
Yes, I mean, the referees gave himself some problems now, Jock, and that every time a Hearts player tackles a St Mirren player, the crowd are going to be baying for blood. I really do feel again there, I hope I'm not being too critical, that referees overreacted slightly. Let's take a sting out of it. And Alan McLaren, I would feel, is very unlucky to be booked down.
There's Tom Black with the free kick. Came off the head of Bannon. Well, not landing kindly there for Fraser Wishart, not renowned for his goal-scoring prowess, still hasn't opened his account for St Mirren since his transfer a year ago. Here's Gary Mackay, now Robertson. Cahoon was through the middle. That was a very important interception there by Martin, giving Hearts the corner kick. Well, it's all very tense now, and one flash of inspiration or one defensive error could settle this tie. Levine at the edge of the box, McPherson inside the 6-yard box. There across by Cahoon. Headed away was by Manley. Here's Mackay. Trying to nudge that through a narrow gap for Robertson. Stickrot's now on the left. And Black hurries the clearance. Hearts now trying to pile on the pressure. Stickrot has crossed over to the left side of the St Mirren midfield. There's Berry. Bannon getting up well. Black was careful with the pass back. There's McWalter. McWalter taking on Berry, making with the byline. He has Kinnaird behind him. Headed away by McKinley. Here's Alan McLaren. That's a good pass to Bannon. Cahoon showing himself up front. Wriggling away from Manley.
I was just wondering, Jock, I wondered if one or two of the Love Street turnstiles weren't working tonight. Because there was only 7,000 here, they must all be sitting underneath you and I, because there really is a tremendous atmosphere here.
Yes, a real cup tie occasion, and the fans all realising that it has to be settled tonight. There goes Kinnaird, he's away from Ferguson, swept away there inside the area by Levine. Cleared by Bannon. Here goes Robertson. Play switching from one end to the other. Robertson taking on Martin. Martin using his strength there to win possession. Here's Shaw. No question of St Mirren lying down to this. They're still looking for victory. Stigrot is back on the right in possession now. So here's Stigrot now, and he's brought down by Ferguson. Is he? No, the referee says no. Tangle of legs, always difficult for a referee. McKinley eases the ball clear to Mackay. Well, it's all breathless stuff now as these sides press for a winner before the end of the 90 minutes. Tremendous climax to the match. McKinley switching play to the far side, looking for Bannon, but he's not quick enough for that. But what a let-off that was for Hart at the other end when Paul Kinnear asserted himself.
This is exactly what Gordon McQueen was talking about. Paul Kinnear asserting himself going forward, and Henry Smith does very well, but it's one of those that if your luck's in, it drops to your attacker. Hearts were in favour then, it dropped to Dave McPherson and he's hooked it clear. But this game isn't over with. St Mirren, if they've lost a man, they've gained one from their supporters. They really are pushing them on. It's great to hear.
So 10 minutes remaining, and you have the clear feeling at the moment that there's a lot of excitement and drama to come before the end. We've had one player ordered off, Peter Godfrey of St Mirren. We still have players sitting on a yellow card: Tosh McKinley, Alan McLaren, George Shaw, and we have total commitment from all 21 players out there in the field. The battle for a winner. Turned away there by McKinley, and a throw to St Mirren. Well, certainly no one leaving Love Street at this stage. The story is still about to unfold. So here's McLaren. Martin judging it well. Just out of reach for Shaw. Ferguson now to McLaren. Robertson is offside. Must have been close. So Paul Lambert drops deep. Here's Brian Martin. Headed away by McPherson. He was being pushed by McWalter. The referee gives the free kick to Hearts. This is Levine, looking for someone in space ahead, forced to try the hopeful high ball. McLaren got his head to it. Good understanding there. Manley leaving that to Martin. Here's Wishart. Good ton of pace coming forward, Wishart, followed by McKinley, and off the ball a player has gone down. St Mirren players on the ground. Looks like Paul Lambert. And I certainly didn't see what happened to him. I wonder if the linesman saw anything amiss. Well, a little discussion going on there. Paul Kinnear clearly thinks that Derek Ferguson merits a word or two. Certainly not at all sure why that should be. There's Alec MacDonald with the instruction from the dugout. He's clearly very agitated indeed. And the linesman not signalling anything to the referee, so George Shaw, in fact, who was the victim of something which happened off the ball. Well, let's hope it was accidental.
Well, I think the reaction from George Shaw shows that there wasn't much in it. I think if he'd have felt that there was something untoward there, you would have seen a different reaction totally from him. Alan
McLaren's header, somewhat miscued. There's Mackay. And McKinley. It's back from Cahun. Bannon inside. There's Ferguson. Well challenged by Shaw. And Lambert takes himself out of that tight corner with a little bit of skill. Releasing McWalter. Look at his pace now. Getting away from Berry. Berry stalling his progress though, allowing Hearts to regroup in defence behind him. Here's Tom Black. Couldn't find a way through. A long chase back for the St Mirren players. Here's Eamon Bannon. Now Cahun. That's good running by Cahoon, and brought down in full flight there. Here's a problem for Paul Lambert. Well, the referee certainly not standing for any tackles of that kind when a player goes away from a defender. So it's Paul Lambert who is getting that stern lecture from referee McVicker, which will be followed with a yellow card.
Yes, every tackle now, Jock, from behind up in Scotland here, the referees have a directive. No tackling from behind, clamp down on it. And although it's not a really harsh tackle from Paul Lambert, Paul's not exactly the hardest man around, and doesn't really get that well stuck in, but I mean, he's got to be big for it, the referees are told.
A little word of apparent sympathy there from John Cahoon for Lambert. Cahoon, chairman of the Scottish Professional Football Association. McKinley flights it in, there goes Bannon, beaten away by Money. That was good goalkeeping, excellent judgment there, but there's an offside flag up on the near side. So there won't be a corner kick, it's going to be a free kick on the 6-yard line. But it was a fine header there from Bannon, and very good judgment by Money in goal.
Yes, it was brave goalkeeping, but I think the offside went against John Robertson, just sneaking in a little bit too early, like the striker he is, trying for the snip. But it's a great header, it's a good free kick in, and the introduction of Eamon Bannon was giving them an extra good header of the ball in there. Look how high he climbs, it's a super knockdown. But what kind of knockdown that John Robertson thrives on, but as you can see there, just in a fraction too early.
Levine lashing the ball forward, and Bannon took a heavy knock there from Manley as he didn't quite reach the ball. There's Black, handball against Ferguson. Well, St. fans baying for a booking for that. There's the clock showing 5 minutes remaining in the 90 minutes. It looks as though extra time is looming. Here's Lambert taking a pass from Shaw. Wishart forward to Stickrot. Good running by Wishart. Well, out of luck there, standing on the ball. Bannon's in the clear on the left. This is promising for Hearts. Robertson waits in the middle. Mackay and Cahoon arriving late. Well, Tom Black certainly got a break there. He tried to sweep that on to safety for a throw-in, miscued, and set it up for Money.
Not at all, Jock, he'll tell you meant that.
Convincing will be difficult. Yeah, there's Tosh McKinley with the long ball forward, and Cahoon this time is onside, trying to get away from Martin, who's stood up to him well. Now Robertson trying to get a shooting position at the edge of the box. Could have used Ferguson behind him. We'll just listen to the atmosphere now as St Mirren come forward. This is McWalter, met solidly there by Neil Berry. And through the middle for Robertson, Money, the auxiliary sweeper. And the offside flag is up against George Shaw.
Just looking at that little incident there with John Robertson getting through and Campbell Money coming out, I can't help thinking that Peter Godfrey after the game will be asking him why he wasn't there in that position when Robertson broke through the last time. It would have saved that desperate tackle and the sending off of Peter Godfrey.
And it is, it's with Derek Ferguson for Hearts. Closing minutes now. There would be no way back for either side if a goal went in at this stage. Here's Ferguson. McPherson's up with the attack. He was very carefully marked. Paul Lambert doing the marking job and heading that away for a corner kick. Campbell Money organising a defence, so only missing Peter Godfrey for this corner kick. Bannon, an additional threat now that he's on to replace McCreary. There's John Cahoon. Headed away well by Manley, marking Levine. St Mirren racing out, and Craig Levine left isolated there. There's the linesman, Donald Wilson, with the flag up against Levine. So St Mirren now have a little bit of thinking to do in these closing minutes of the 90 minutes, because they certainly can't afford to give anything away at this stage. They couldn't make any recovery, but here's Paul Kinnear who's had a fine match for St Mirren, and he's taken right out of the play by Ferguson. That was a bad tackle, all right, and Ferguson is undoubtedly going to be booked. Now I wonder if that was a legacy of the earlier verbal exchange between Kinnear and Ferguson.
Yes, I'm sure there's every chance of that. You see frustration coming in. Derek Ferguson just going straight for Paul Kinnear there. He'll be a lucky man, Derek, if it's only a yellow card he sees.
Well, they certainly did exchange a very angry word or two a few moments ago after George Shaw went down off the ball. Kinnear and Ferguson had a very angry verbal exchange, so Ferguson is the latest player to be booked. Total of 5 bookings in addition to Godfrey's ordering off. So a chance now for St Mirren in the last minute of the match. Henry Smith bouncing on his line for Tom Black's free kick. The run was made by Shaw, and that's well claimed by Smith, who certainly hasn't been busy in the second half in particular. Bannon's headed on. Played forward by Wishart. The offside flag is up against McWalter. Well, that's a surprise because Craig Levine appeared to be playing him on by several yards.
I think it was only 5, Jock.
So some derision directed towards Ferguson by the St Mirren fans as he plays it back. This is Mackay. Ferguson again. Now McKinley. What a tense finish to the match. Eamon Bannon now going at Wishart, then Stick Rutt. Back with Mackay. Here's McPherson. Good tackle made by Martin. St Mirren pulling everyone back except McWalter. Here's McLaren leaving it now to Mackay. McPherson has gone down at the edge of the box as he tried a quick turn. Here's Brian Martin. Berry lofts it forward. Here's Roddy Manley. Nowhere to go on the left. It's picked up by Cahoon. Martin gets to the ball and Money just hangs back to make sure that Martin has a target for the pass back. The referee Donald McVicker checks his watch now. It looks as though extra time is inevitable, and that means more thrills and spills to come in a further half hour, but still allowing some stoppage time. And here's more trouble. Neil Berry this time. Well, he certainly was very late and rash with that tackle on Mark McWalter. So Neil Berry, the latest player to be put.
And this is what happens to Mark McWalter an awful lot because he's so quick. Neil Berry's very, very late there. That is a very late tackle from Neil Berry. The referee really is working as hard as every player out there. Oh, he's got plenty of lead in that pencil.
Well, free kick it is to St Mirren as Berry is booked. We're well into injury time now at the end of the match. Here's Thomas Stick Rutt looking for a shooting opportunity. It's good running on the far side, but there's too much pace on the pass. Paul Lambert couldn't reach it. That may well be the last opportunity of the 90 minutes. Indeed, referee Donald McVicker signals the end of the 90 minutes, and that means there will be extra time. You won't miss any of that because we'll be right back in a couple of minutes after this short break.
Here at Love Street, extra time beckoning, and after a fairly tempestuous 90 minutes, both captains being lectured by the referee, but we don't want to see a second player sent off in this match. We've had 7 bookings tonight, and 1 player sent off, Peter Godfrey, and on Saturday we had 6 players booked in the league match, so it's a fairly tough battle out there. Gordon, down to 10 men. How do you feel about the next 30 minutes?
Well, I think we've done incredibly well with 10 men since Peter Godfrey gets sent off. Brian Martin's went into the back 4, been magnificent. Mark Walters has kept the Hearts back 3 occupied, and in fact we created 2 good openings in the second half. But I've got to say at this moment in time I think I'd settle for penalty kicks.
OK, well, if you've tuned in just now for the tennis from Flushing Meadow, we will be going to New York as soon as this match is finished. But for the interim, let's go back to Andy Gray and Jock Brown.
Another certain 30 hectic minutes to come. These sides battle for the right to play Aberdeen in the quarter-final next week at Pittodrie. Aberdeen running out comfortable 4-0 winners tonight against Stranraer. There are the match facts, and a remarkable scoreline at the foot. St Mirren getting 24 free kicks, so Hearts really have been tackling as though they mean business tonight. But also Hearts having a very distinct advantage in corner kicks, showing the pressure they've exerted. Roddy Manley down below is unhappy with that free kick being awarded, and the free kick will have to be taken again. And can also tell you, or remind you, that Wraith Rovers beat Hibs 1-0, and the other result this evening, Hamilton Accies 0, Celtic 1. So it's Tom Black who finds some space to start a move for St Mirren on the left. Here's Kinnaird. Well, Gordon McQueen would be content to see this go to penalty kicks. From a St Mirren point of view, how do you feel about that, Andy?
Yes, I think everyone at St Mirren and all St Mirren supporters here at Love Street will feel the same. What the little break will have done, it'll give Alec McDonald the time to reshuffle his troops.
Here's Bannon on the left. St Mirren back in numbers now to defend. And Campbell Money racing up his line to fly kick that clear. There was an error in the air in defence by Brian Martin. He mistimed the jump. That almost allowed Alan McLaren in behind him, but the offside flag on the far side was up, so a free kick it is, which Campbell Money will take plenty of time over.
Yes, and if Hearts are going to win the game, it's going to be getting people through in there. Right backs right in there, but the linesman spot on line there, offside decision.
Levine getting up very well indeed against McWalter. Well, I think you can see signs very early on that St Mirren really would settle for penalties. They've lost that cavalier spirit they showed earlier in the match to get forward. We're looking now, I think, to strike on the break and soak up any Hearts pressure. Here's Tigrot, turned back by Craig Levine to Henry Smith. Into extra time, still no scoring, but we've had everything else in this match. Plenty of attacking football, some tough defending. We've had 7 bookings and 1 ordering off, so a lot of players out there having to be very careful with any challenges they make. Gary Mackay looking for Bannon on the left, gets the break of the ball away from Wishart. There's Lambert. The one thing you'll see in this period of extra time is the stamina which Paul Lambert enjoys. Careless one in the defence. There's Ferguson. Now Robertson. Gary Mackay. Ferguson again. Patiently setting up Cahoon on the right. No way through there, but Cahoon did well to earn that corner kick. And instantly the big men come from the back. Craig Levine and Dave McPherson. This time they're both hanging back to make a run from the edge of the box. Levine getting up well. Not a bad effort from Craig Levine. By no means a prolific goal scorer for Hearts in his career. He's been at Tynecastle for 7 years and he's only scored 4 times. Yes, and I think 4 or 5 years ago his last goal. But this is a good header from him. Gets up very, very well. Powers it there. That's not a bad header from that distance. So 4 goals in 7 years, and 1985-86 was his last goal for Hearts. Wasn't too happy about being reminded about that before the match, hence perhaps his additional determination. The referee now having a word with the St Mirren skipper Roddy Manley, who conceded that free kick. Gary Mackay offering some instructions to Dave McPherson, who takes the set piece. Now Levine. Well, unfortunate stumble there for Levine. The Hearts get it back from McWalter. There's Mackay. McLaren using McPherson at the back. Once again, St Mirren with 9 players facing the ball. The exception is Mark McWalter. And the 11th player, of course, is perhaps already bathed and dressed. Peter Godfrey. Mackay plays it wide again. As Cahun started the match playing through the middle, now operating on the right flank, where he's been so effective for Hearts since his transfer from Celtic 5 years ago.
Yes, I think the pattern's been set for extra time with Hearts. Hopefully they'll be wanting to be camped in the St Mirren half. St Mirren will get 9 men behind the ball, leave Mark McWalter up front. But really, if Hearts are going to win the game, then they've got to take a few chances. I looked up there when Hearts' last attack, and they had 5 players marking Mark McWalter. Now, I know he's quick, but he certainly isn't that quick. They really do have to, if they want to win it, and they're really serious about winning it, have to push more men forward.
So retrieved at the back by Martin. Here's Gary Mackay. Cahun again. Bannon signalling for the ball. It's good running by Cahun. John Robertson trying to get in there ahead of Martin at the near post. He was the player on the last touch. The goal kick it is. Clearly Robertson doesn't agree with that. Came off Brian Martin, he's clearly saying to the referee. Well, he's done well in back 4 now for St Mirren.
Yes, I think St Mirren have been very fortunate that a player like Brian Martin was on the pitch when Peter Godfrey was sent off, because he's slotted into that defensive position, and Gordon McQueen was right at full time. He's been absolutely magnificent for them.
Kinley's header goes straight to Wishart. There's Lambert. Stigrot still trying to create some magic on the right for St Mirren. And a foul throw given against Wishart for stealing a few yards there. Hard-worked official Donald McVicker, an insurance surveyor in Lanarkshire. Knocked on there by Bannon to Robertson. Plenty of depth in the St Mirren defence. St Mirren quite content to knock the ball about in defence. Keep things quiet rather than face too many waves of Hearts attacks. Ferguson did well. Bannon to Mackay. There goes Cahun, followed by Kinnaird. That's a good play by Cahun. It was touched over by Money. I'm not sure it was going in, but it was an outstanding effort from John Cahun after a very impressive run.
Yes, it was a very good run from John Cahun. I'm not too sure myself what's going in. Just cuts back on himself as he comes down. You think he's going to hit it on his left. Turns back inside. I think Campbell Money just being extra sure here. He thinks, I'll just make sure that's going over.
Cahun with the corner. Safe, confident goalkeeping once again. The man trying to impress Andy Roxburgh, the Scotland coach. Person's header. There's Lambert running out of space in the middle of the field. Gary Mackay wins it. Cahun's free in the right again. Gary Mackay making a late run in the blind side, but the quality of the cross wasn't good enough. So a long, lung-bursting run at this stage of the game for Mackay.
But once again, Jock, I mean, if Hearts really want to win it, you look there, the crosses come in from the right wing, and there's only John Robertson in the box. I mean, I can't fathom it. If our Hearts quite happy there, we see Scott Crabbe, and I'm really not surprised at that. I think that Hearts, 10 men, they can't risk going to penalties. They're up against a keeper in Campbell Money that doesn't let many penalties in, so they surely can't risk going there, risking it to chance. They must go forward and want to win it.
The throw goes to Hearts. That came off McWalter. Sign from our Broth, Mark McWalter, a very young player. He's only 22 now, and here's a change being made by Hearts. Well, it's something of a surprise, I would suggest, Andy, to find that it's John Cahun who's going off to accommodate Scott Crabbe.
Yes, I think the time is right for Alec MacDonald to dispense with the sweeper system. I think that two international defenders in Craig Levein and David McPherson should be able to look after Mark McWalter. And I was very surprised that Neil Berry, not that he hasn't played well, wasn't the one to be sacrificed for looking for a victory.
We've had 10 minutes in extra time, still no scoring here at Love Street. This match played to a finish tonight. And the winners, it's now been established, will travel next week to play Aberdeen at Pittodrie in what will be an outstanding quarter-final Skol Cup tie. McPherson nodding it down carefully to Ferguson. First touch for Scott Crabb. Running straight into Black. Well, John Cahoon was seeing so much of the ball on that right flank in extra time. You wonder if his service into the middle with Scott Crabb supporting John Robertson might have been interesting. Three central defenders have a touch. Berry, Levein and McPherson. Now it's with Mackay. Bannon nodding it down well. There's Crabb. That's the menace of Scott Crabb. One glimpse of the ball, he lets go a very dangerous shot.
Yes, I mean this boy looks for goals and likes to get in there. And at the other end, Henry Smith there, very, very fortunate.
Well, that shot from Scott Crabb, but the real controversy is at the other end as Mark McWalter goes down in the box as Henry Smith goes to meet him, and referee Donald McVicker waves aside all appeals for a penalty kick. Well, that was very interesting indeed, and if McWalter took a dive, then he's perhaps lucky he wasn't booked. What a tough task it's been for the referee tonight, and over the piece, you have to say he's acquitted himself well. Certainly a little bit controversial with his early technical bookings. Well, let's have a look at this again.
Yes, generally the referee has been right, but this really was a close one. Again, the pace of McWalter comes out. You can't really see from this angle, but I think St Mirren players feel they have a case. And you look at Henry Smith, his hands are up right away in innocence.
Well, I think it certainly settles any doubts about whether or not McWalter died. He seemed to be stumbling, but perhaps involuntarily there. There's another hefty challenge by Ferguson on Kinnaird. Ferguson, remember, one of the Hearts players who has been booked. And there will be another change made here by St Mirren. Taking off Mark McWalter, and the replacement is another striker, Kenny McDowell. So thoroughly deserved applause for McWalter going off, and a warm welcome too for Kenny McDowell. So fresh pair of legs up front for St Mirren. Black with a free kick, looking for McDowell. Levein wins it well. There's Bannon. Mackay was caught napping there by Kinnaird. It's back now with Lambert. Martin playing it forward. There's McLaren and Mackay. Crabb taking up Cahoon's position wide on the right. Linking as he has done so effectively there with Robertson. Ferguson lays it back, takes a late challenge from Wishart. Play rages on. One thing which is certainly quite clear tonight is that we're looking at two very fit sides, Andy.
Oh, they're tremendously fit sides. This really has been a cup tie. It's been cut and thrust end to end. St Mirren, to their credit, are still looking to get forward, looking to get that winner. Not foolishly, they're keeping it solid at the back, but they still look as if they're keen to get that winner, not let it go to penalties. It's been a great cup tie, both teams very, very fit. And Mark McWalter, who's just gone off, can be very pleased with himself. He really did run himself into the ground after Peter Godfrey had gone off.
And there goes the half-time whistle in extra time. 15 minutes remaining. The referee will insist on a quick turnaround here. There's no question of the managers getting any chance to come on with instructions, although Walter Borthwick, the Hearts assistant manager, is offering some advice there on the far side to Gary Mackay. So that's the story so far, although it barely tells the whole story of the entertainment tonight. So the referee now inviting Walter Borthwick to return to the dugout. There has been no interval to allow for any tactical alterations, so Walter Borthwick returns to the bench. Alec MacDonald there, kneeling, looking on anxiously. So we're 15 minutes away from a penalty shootout, if neither side can find the net. So it's still a tremendous atmosphere, and the fans too showing incredible stamina. The noise coming from down below is remarkable at this stage of the match, reflecting the quality of the competitiveness and the entertainment on show tonight. So can either side conjure up a goal before the end? Here's Mackay. Back with McLaren. The hand signals from Walter Borthwick certainly appeared to suggest he wanted Gary Mackay on the right flank. Mackay coming in from the right, tangling there with Kinnaird. Good tackle by Mackay. But Kinnaird was strong enough and determined enough to force that challenge from the Hearts player. Quick piece of work there by Scott Crabb, closing down Martin, forcing that error in the clearance. It's back now with McLaren. Crabb to Mackay. Led away by Stigrot. There's Lambert. McPherson with a lot of time there, returning the ball through the middle, and all the Hearts attackers had to come back to remain onside.
And I think the main noticeable thing from Hearts' point of view is that finally Alec MacDonald has decided to dispense with the sweeper system. Neil Berry has been moved into midfield. Gary Mackay, quite like as you say, pushed to the right wing, and now Alec MacDonald's decided to go with 4 across the back.
So McLaren and McKinley dropping back into orthodox full-back positions, from which of course they'll still be looking to get forward. Too far ahead of Robertson, and Money was already out of his starting blocks there to act as an additional sweeper. But St Mirren really have adjusted extremely well to the loss of Peter Godfrey.
Yes, they have. I mean, it's fortunate, we must mention them again, that they had Brian Martin to slot back into that position, but they have defended brilliantly. What's fortunate for them is, if you get 9 men back behind the ball, Jock, it is very difficult to break down. The attacking team has to be very patient, has to keep prying away. But full credit to St Mirren, they've battled and they've run, and they are running themselves into the ground, and they've defended superbly.
There's McDowell playing it wide. Stigrot with a return pass. Cross was well blocked by McPherson, and there's Berry back helping in defence from his new midfield role. Stumble, allowing Manley to win possession for St Mirren. A tackle there by Berry, and the break of the ball goes Hearts' way. So it's Tosh McKinley now with a throw for Hearts. So it's all very tense, it's very nervous indeed, and I wonder how Gordon McQueen is feeling looking on as Derek Ferguson tries to force his way forward. It was a good recovery made there in defence by Tom Black. He looked to be in trouble for a moment. Well, that could have been disastrous for the St Mirren left back.
Yes, he just takes his eye off it. I think that to Derek Ferguson's presence very close, he just takes his eye off it, doesn't quite get there, but he makes a good recovery, Tom Black, very, very quick on the uptake, and manages to poke it back to Campbell Money.
And the clearance there by McPherson. Well, I wonder if Gordon McQueen has recovered from that. As Brian Martin goes forward. Well, Gordon, can you tell us if your heart is now out of your mouth?
Well, I got a little bit of a shock there, but Tom Black tidied up very well at the end there, as he's done all evening. But we've done marvellously well, St Mirren, because we've restricted, since Peter Godfrey gets sent off, we've restricted Hearts to 2 long-range efforts, one from Scott Crabb and one from John Cahoon. And in actual fact, in my opinion, we most definitely should have had a penalty when Henry Smith tripped Mark McWalters. But it wasn't to me, it wasn't to be, and I think we'll just be quite happy now to see the game out to penalty kicks.
And Gordon McQueen, in fairness, having a different angle to view that possible penalty incident from than we had in the commentary gantry. So it's an interesting view. Here's Lambert. Levine touching it away there towards McKinley. Lambert going through again. That's good defending by Levine. Such a powerful figure at the back for Hearts. Getting some well-deserved applause for that bit of work. Stickrot. Well tackled by McKinley, but it is a St Mirren throw. And you have to hand it to these men from Paisley. They really have battled back well in extra time. It looked early on as though they were content to play out a 0-0 draw and depend on penalties, but they've shown enough confidence as the extra time period has gone on to indicate they're looking for a winner, and they have a corner kick. Henry Smith organising his defence. George Shaw trying to set up attacking positions for St Mirren. There's Thomas Stickrot. Murray Manley is up. Kenny McDowell, number 12. Get it out by Levine. There's Black. Well, he has lots of dig in that left foot normally, but his shooting has been well off target tonight. So an interesting view that from Gordon McQueen about the penalty claim for St Mirren, Andy.
Yes, but as you said, I think Gordon's got a much better view of that, and at the time I think in a split decision the referee has to make. Certainly if I'd been referee I might have been tempted to point it to the spot, but I do hope we get a goal, Jock. None of these players out here deserves to be a villain tonight, and if it goes to penalties then one of them is going to end up so, and all of them have performed so well they don't really deserve that on them.
Well, here's Scott Crabb trying to do something about it for Hearts. Ferguson. This is Mackay and the McLaren, headed away by Stickrot, and it's McPherson playing it forward. Here's Scott Crabb. Dramatic dive by Crabb, which didn't deceive the referee. There's Tom Black playing it forward. George Shaw chases, and the pace of Levine comes to the rescue of Hearts again. Not quite so convincing though with the clearance. And Kinnear too taking a rather dramatic fall, which the referee waved aside. So here's Hearts coming forward. This is Gary Mackay. Good running by Mackay, going all the way himself. Here's Bannon on the left. Excellent positioning there by Money. He made that look easy, but it was a good move from Hearts.
It was a great run from Gary Mackay, but I do feel that he had a chance just when he gets there on his left foot to have gone for goal there, and he's past Eamon Bannon. He's in a much more difficult angle, but you can see what Eamon tried to do. He's tried to curl it around the keeper, not got it quite right, but Gary Mackay had a glorious chance at the edge of the box just to strike for goal.
Mackay perhaps not yet fully confident about his goal scoring ability. He only scored once throughout last season, and that's a very poor return for a midfield player. He usually scores a few. The chance now for Scott Crabb. Crabb has done it for Hearts. Sheer joy for the Hearts fans. Scott Crabb in the 8th minute of the second period of extra time has broken the deadlock with an expert piece of finishing. John Robertson and Gary Mackay congratulating him. Scott Crabb kissing the badge, but what a fine goal it was.
Yes, and a fine ball. John Robertson watch this for a piece of finishing. Nothing of that blasting. He knows the keeper. 9 times out of 10 a keeper will dive at your feet. He knows that, and he just thinks it over him. But it's a superb run from him. You see him run from deep there, But watch it, he looks at the Campbell money, down he goes and over it goes. That's a superb finish shot. But you can't help feeling sorry for St Mirren. It all started with a little bit of indecision. But maybe that's why we were saying this boy should have been on a little bit earlier, when he possesses that kind of finishing.
An outstanding striker, and that shows his quality. He scored 17 times last season for Hearts. He's only 22 years old now, and that's his second of the season. But he really produced a goal of the highest class, and it was going to take something of that quality, I reckon, to win this match. It certainly was going to take something special to beat Campbell Money. Here's John Robertson going again. Martin trying to get back. He stood his ground well. Bit adventurous, that. Player of defence by Wishart. Here's Eamon Bannon. Tripped from the back by McDowell, and the referee has given the free kick to St Mirren. Kenny McDowell becoming irate as that free kick is halted by Hearts. There's George Shaw and Tom Black. Miscue there by McKinlay. Well, don't count St Mirren out yet. They've shown such reserves of stamina and courage. They may just do something about this before the end. They have 5 minutes left to save this tie. Hearts now looking for the second goal, which would settle the contest. Here's John Robertson, who created that goal for Crab. Down he goes, clashing there with Manley. These two players squaring up angrily. Roddy Manley appears to have lost the place. He thinks that Robertson took a dive. What does referee McVicker think? That's what will matter. The St Mirren skipper is going to be booked. There's no doubt about that. Robertson, I think, is pleading Manley's case. But it will be to no avail. What an angry exchange, born out of frustration, I think, Andy.
Yes, I think it is, but I think John Robertson's quite right to plead his case. He holds on to the ball very well and gets away from the first tackle. The second one comes in, he wheels away again, and Roddy Manley just... he has a little kick at him there. I think probably again the referee's right, but it was born out of frustration.
Well, no continuing ill will, it would appear, between Robertson and Manley. The St Mirren skipper, of course, who has led his troops superbly tonight, clearly thoroughly frustrated, and it looks as though their efforts are all going to be in vain. Campbell Money now, the player in a hurry for St Mirren. You'll see a few players now pushing into attacking positions. George Shaw's joined Kenny McDowell straight through the middle now for St Mirren in attack. Paul Kinnear and Thomas Dickrot pushing forward on the flanks. So there's the throw, which Alan McLaren is taking in more leisurely fashion now. Came off Derek Ferguson's arm, according to the referee and linesman, so it's a free kick to St Mirren. Tom Black hoisting that into the penalty area. McPherson attacking the ball. Stickrot with that hopeful long-range effort, but it's now Hearts on the break with Bannon unable to reach that. What can St Mirren do in these closing minutes? Here's Dickrot. Tangling there with McKinlay, conceding a free kick to Hearts.
Well, I don't know what they can do, Jock, but they certainly throw everyone forward. That's what they should do. Throw as many players forward. They're as well losing 2 or 3 now in the last couple of minutes than holding out for a 1-0 defeat. Throw some men forward now, get the ball in the Hearts box and get the bit of luck. I do feel they've deserved a little bit of luck, a little bit more than they've had probably, St Mirren, but that's all they can do now.
Well, if it's any consolation, I'm sure it really isn't at this stage. They did lose a goal of tremendous quality scored by this man Scott Crabb. It was a goal which demonstrated his natural striking ability, and of course the quality of the service too from John Robertson really was also outstanding. There's Brian Martin. Stickrot turning away from McKinlay. Stickrot being forced to turn back. He's lost possession here to Robertson. And Robertson guilty of a little bit of arm wrestling there, gives the free kick away. Here's Paul Lambert. Black. Kinnear coming off his mark at McLaren. Taking a hefty tackle from the rear there from Gary Mackay. Kinnear is another St Mirren hero tonight. Gary Mackay can afford to smile at this stage. Looks as though the win bonus is safe, unless, of course, St Mirren can conjure up something of a miracle in the closing minutes. There's Tom Black's free kick. Headed away by Berry. Grab is deep. They thump that into the St Mirren half. We're in the final minute of extra time now. It looks as though Hearts have made it to meet Aberdeen next week at Pittodrie in the quarter-final. But here comes Brian Martin, striding forward. Shaw battling hard. Here's Crabb. And now Gary Mackay. Bannon making an excellent run on the right. Mackay using him as a decoy at the moment. He has Robertson inside. Bannon on the right. This could clinch it for Hearts. And Mackay content to keep the ball. Dragging it across the corner flag. Well, not the most attractive aspect of time wasting, but thoroughly effective from the Hearts' point of view. And no rush at all about the throw. It looks as though it's all over for St Mirren despite their valiant efforts. Hearts will be very happy indeed to keep the ball around that corner flag. It goes Robertson inside, and he's earned the free kick. That body check from Lambert, but there goes the final whistle. That magnificent goal from Scott Crabb takes Hearts through. Andy, sympathy for St Mirren.
You must have sympathy for St Mirren. It was a tremendous cup tie, Jock. It really did have everything. Crunching tackles, sending off, controversy. Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? I know we didn't have an abundance of goals. The one we did get from that young man there was simply superb. A goal of the highest quality, and it was always going to take something special to break down either of these defences. That young man supplied it.
And the Hearts players and fans celebrate their arrival in the quarter-final, where they'll play Aberdeen next week. Sympathy undoubtedly due for St Mirren, but the final score after extra time here at Love Street, Paisley. St Mirren 0, Hearts 1 over to John Unberdale.
So, 8 bookings, a sending off. A terrific goal to win it, but Gordon McQueen, you must be terribly disappointed. Well, I know you are.
Yeah, I'm desperately disappointed for Tony Fitzpatrick and the players because they gave it everything they had tonight. But I suppose it was inevitable that there was going to be a gap up here at some time. It did, and Scott Crabb finished the goal off wonderfully well. But at the same time, the consolation is if we show the same amount of enthusiasm and spirit as we showed tonight, we're going to have no problems in the league this year.
I know it's no good saying if only, but from our vantage point, that was a penalty, wasn't it, in extra time? That
was a clear-cut penalty without any shadow of a doubt, and obviously it's very, very difficult for referees, you know, when forwards are racing in and goalkeepers to judge whether it was. He's not got the action replays that we've got up here, but it was definitely a penalty. Well,
talking about action replays, let's see the goal that actually decided it in Hearts' favour. Scott Crabb, a really good finish. And I suppose perhaps you could say here that being down to 10 men was one of the factors.
Yeah, they never just quite get the break of the ball here, but John Robertson fights off the 2 central defenders, lays a lovely ball into the path of Scott Crabb, and this is, I mean, it was a wonderful finish. I mean, it was a terrific goal by Scott Crabb. But as I said, I think it was inevitable that they'd find a gap at some time, and just unfortunately, when they did find the gap, it fell to somebody like Scott Crabb, who finishes like that, gave the goalkeeper no chance. So, as you say, good for league prospects for the future. Hearts against Aberdeen next week. What do you make of that? Well, I think that's certainly the tie of the round without any shadow of a doubt, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of tactics Hearts adopt next week, whether they go back to the 3 at the back or they bring in the boy Crabb after scoring a nice goal tonight along with Cahoon and Roberts. I mean, that was the basis of Hearts' success last year, the amount of goals that they 3 scored, and I'd prefer to see them play that way. Well, mentioning obviously that Aberdeen won tonight, we can actually check that result and the other 2 matches played in the 3rd round of the Skull Cup this evening. Aberdeen, in fact, victors by 4 goals to 0 over Stranraer. 2 goals for Mason, Irvine and Van der Ark, their scorers. The shock, though, Wraith Rovers beating Hibernian by 1 goal to 0. McGeehee, the scorer. And we saw Jakanowski score that marvellous goal against Ayr last week, and it was his goal tonight that saw Celtic into the quarter-finals. So, Gordon was mentioning what is the outstanding tie of the quarter-finals next week, and it's Aberdeen against Hearts, and that match you will see live and exclusive here on the Sports Channel next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock from Pittodrie. The remainder of the quarter-final draw, Celtic against Queen of the South, Dundee United against Motherwell, and the reward for
for Wraith Rovers for that victory tonight over Hibernian is an away tie at Rangers next week, so that's certainly going to improve their bank balance. And a good crowd, 30,000 or so guaranteed, I would think, at Ibrox, so that's certainly going to cheer up the accountant, if not the players. Gordon, a match like that, Rangers against Wraith Rovers, in many ways, Rangers, of course, on a hiding to nothing, because they only just sneaked past Kilmarnock last night. Yeah, but I think they'll be delighted with a draw like that. Obviously, you need good draws to progress in cups, and Rangers are getting plenty of them just now in the Skull Cup. You know, East Stirling, Kilmarnock and Wraith Rovers, all teams for lower division, so they must be delighted as well. Wraith Rovers to be going through to Ibrox, big night out for them, and of course they give them a tough time. I think the year before last in the Scottish Cup. So, Wendy, the way things are going, we could have Aberdeen, Dundee United, Celtic and Rangers in the last four. There really is almost a cartel dominating things, isn't there? Well, yeah, it's inevitable. They're probably the four best teams. So, but in saying that, Motherwell, I've got high hopes for Motherwell this year. I mean, I watched them against Celtic on Saturday, and they're a team that's made a lot of progress under Tommy McLean, and they're a team that will cause a few shocks this season. Your German signing tonight seemed to stick back. It seemed to disappear from the game for a long spell. Were you disappointed about that? No, because I thought that whenever Peter Godfrey gets sent off, obviously as an attacking force, we were going to be limited. And I think obviously Thomas Stickeroth's strength is going forward, and he wasn't really getting that type of ball to get at defenders, get at fullbacks and put crosses in. So it wasn't surprising that he fell out of the game a bit. OK, Gordon. Well, I think Scott Crabb, Hearts goal-scoring hero this evening, is now talking to David Livingston.
Oh. Scott Crabb, you're a confident sort of player. Did you really feel like you had a goal in you when you came on as a substitute?
I did. I thought we could get behind our defence. They looked kind of open at the back. The manager played two up front tonight because of the game on Saturday. We didn't seem to get behind them enough. But I needed that goal anyway. I've not scored all season. It was a good time to come.
What about the goal itself?
Well, I saw we John Robertson, Robbo got on the edge of the box. I made a run on the right-hand side. He just slipped in. I seen Campbell Money coming to me. I went to blast it and I just dinked it in the top corner.
And of course, it's an important season for Hearts. Do you feel that you can really make the breakthrough this season?
Yeah, hopefully all the boys are confident that we can maybe win something. It's about time. We owe the supporters a lot. They've been brilliant. But Pittodrie now, well, looks like Pittodrie anyway. I think it is Pittodrie. So we're due them one as well.
Scott, congratulations.